What's going on, everybody? I'm Jerry, and starting off, this is my friendly reminder to remind you that if you're ever recording something and have audio that you need to have in that recording, make sure that the device you're using to record that audio is on. Because I didn't, and I just recorded the whole video with no audio. And you guys wouldn't want me to post a video of me just the whole time. So, anywho, we're going to do the week 7 takeaways. We've rebranded it from recap to takeaways. We'll see if that works better. So let's get right into it. Like, comment, subscribe, and starting off, Saints Jaguars. This is one of the few games that I picked right, as you'll see down there, the little check mark next to my helmet. Saints started off, offense was strong the whole game. Jaguars and Saints both known to have good defenses this year. Saints especially. Saints defense didn't play well. Jags defense didn't play well. So you end up with a bit higher scoring game, 24-31. I just put the defense played bad because the Jaguars were just kind of able to expose them all game long. There was a big fumble by Christian Kirk, and then there was the muffed punt, too, by Jamal Agnew. So a couple mistakes that the Saints could have taken advantage of on offense to help win the game. Didn't end up doing it. I put the defense played bad just because they allowed 31 points. They normally just do better than that. So bad in comparison to them. And, you possibly win that game if you let up one less touchdown. And also possibly win the game if Foster Moreau doesn't drop that final pass. It's really tough for him. Good to see his teammates come over to kind of save the day. He looked broken up about it. Of course, when the ball hits your hands in the end zone to win or tie the game, it's big-time sadness for Foster Moreau. But there was a couple opportunities that the Saints missed out on. Saints defense could have stopped them on the previous drive. Again, I mentioned the turnovers that they didn't really take advantage of. And that last drive when they just let Trevor Lawrence drive down the field like it was nothing, big mistake there. So other opportunities, it wasn't all Foster Moreau's fault. Christian Kirk went off. Travis Etienne, he had the fumble, but other than that, he went off as far as receiving. He had a couple downfield shots that were nice. Good on the receiving end. Travis Etienne was probably the biggest part of that offense in that game. But they did make a lot of mistakes, as we mentioned, the fumble by Christian Kirk and the fumble by Agnew, the muffed punt. So defense did not play good either. Defense also played bad, so we mentioned that earlier. Saints ended up getting the dub 31-24. On to the next game. We have Browns-Colts. This one, it sucked. There's a couple games this week that I feel like were ruined by the refs, along with Iowa was ruined by the refs this week. We saw Cooper DeJean with the punt return. They said he called a fair catch, called it after. We got to do something about the refs. There's too many calls changing games. Starting off with this Colts game where Myles Garrett just absolutely went off, and if they would have lost, he definitely wouldn't have been the reason they lost, and was really the reason they won. Having the strip sack, touchdown, and then the field goal block was just insane. Going from a 4-point stance, flying over the center, and then blocking it. He's on another level. I put PJ does it again because PJ Walker just had another game where he really did not play good, but the rest of the team making big plays bailed him out. Jerome Ford had a huge run to start the game. Then moving forward, he had a couple negative rushes, and then he got hurt. So not much there from him after that. And then I put they won the game by the bad penalties because there was quite a few towards the end. I'll get to that in a second. Mobile Minshew because he was running all over the place. He looked fast. He looked like a normal mobile quarterback. So he was making some big plays. That was kind of fun to see. I put the offense made the Browns defense look mid because nobody's been scoring like this on the Browns. So big day for the Colts in scoring anyway. As the Colts defense, you can't let the Browns score 39 with PJ Walker in. But granted, probably would be talking about the game different if the refs didn't screw up the game at the end. There was a massive call to wipe out a fumble at the end. There was a bad illegal contact call. It was like second or third to last play in the end zone they call. And then the pass interference was not catchable. It was way out of the back of the end zone. I believe the ball ended up bouncing into the stands. It was so far. It was almost by the wall when the ball landed. So Horrible call, ends up making the Colts lose the game because of it. So again, these game-changing calls by the refs can't be happening. Browns end up winning 39-38, and I was wrong about the spread. I was right about them winning, but wrong about the spread. Commanders-Giants, I put Howell keeps getting worse because early on I was kind of trying to do like at least a style comparison. Not that he's as good as Matt Stafford, but his play style, his gunslinger kind of style of playing, and he's kind of hot-headed and he's always moving around, and he just seems to have that fight like I see out of Matt Stafford. So I liked seeing that, but it's just slowly been going downhill. A lot of costly penalties for the Commanders that really hurt them from losing this game. They couldn't finish. The Giants get a huge field goal block too. So that's just what's going to happen if you have a lot of penalties. The field goal block sealed the game for them and was not necessarily, I don't know about a turning point, but it was kind of the momentum went down significantly for the Commanders. I put Tyrod Taylor's better than Danny Dimes just because once he's filled in, although the defense has also for some reason played better. Tyrod Taylor definitely doesn't play defense, but they have been doing better on defense since, and the defense just looks different. I can't explain why it looks different, but they've been playing better. They allow 7 points. They allow the Bills to 14 points and should have won that game last week. So huge game for the Giants defense and kind of making it so their offense just has to play average to get wins like they do here. As I get my pick wrong, Giants win 14-7. Next we have the Falcons. Now the way I thought this game was going to go was Desmond Ridder was going to fumble a bunch and the Buccaneers defense was going to play strong, and that was going to be the reason that they won the game. And I was right about the first two things, not right about winning the game. I assumed that, especially with 3 Desmond Ridder fumbles, you'd think they win. I guess it was tied, and you get the Younghoe Koo massive field goal at the end. But the defense stood strong the whole game. Buccaneers, who have not had a great offense by any means, but at least been able to put up points on other teams. Falcons' strong defense this year was able to kind of shut them down. And they won't win consistently on this because it took a lot of sloppy play for this to work out. And then the Falcons, they did also, we have to mention Bijan Robinson only getting, 1 snap in the first half, 0 touches. Sounds like he was dealing with an illness, so that's likely what the problem was there. But the Buccaneers, again, I've been mentioning it all season, no run game. So I think that's going to need to work if they're going to actually win their division, which they're not super far behind in that division this year. So definitely still winnable, but not when you can't run the ball. Rachaad White's not the answer. I don't see why they don't sign Leonard Fournette. He knows the offense. It seems like a no-brainer to me, but their offense hasn't been playing well. I don't know why you don't do that, but that's beside the point. Defense played well, made a lot of plays, and as I mentioned before, both teams just kind of played sloppy, and the Falcons were the ones that were able to get the field goal in the end. And a happy win for Arthur Smith as the Falcons win 16-13. Next we have the Bills-Patriots. Crazy game. Josh Allen was running for his life the whole time. He has the interception on the first play, which isn't a great way to start it. And the Bills went down early and just kind of had to play from behind for a lot of it. So run game lacked again for the Patriots. This is the first time you see Ezekiel Elliott get all the touches. Not all the touches, I'm sorry, that was wrong. First time that he gets the majority of the touches. I believe he had 11. Ramondre Stevenson had 9, so I don't know if we'll see that moving forward. He was a little bit more efficient there. But the defense pressured Josh Allen. Like I said before, he was running for his life, made it very difficult for him to get rid of the ball and end up getting the win there. I also have to mention the poor defense from the Bills. Obviously, sucks missing Matt Milano and Trey White, but I expected more, especially with the Patriots. Those 2 back-to-back 30-point losses. The offense just did not look good. So I'd like to believe that they made some sort of a change on offense that is the reason they're having success, but it also could be because of the injuries on the Bills' defense. But if that's the case, it's really not going to look good for the Bills moving forward. So we'll see how that works out. Patriots take down the Bills 29-25, and I get another one wrong. Raiders-Bears, happy to get this one wrong as a Bears fan. Davante Adams catches first 3 plays or passes right to Davante Adams. So that's how they started. Put Hoyer will be out of the league soon because the whole point of a backup quarterback is to be able to fill in and at least keep your team in the game and make it look comparable. Get the ball to the stars, and he didn't really do much of any of that. Sure, he passed it to Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers a decent amount, but Josh Jacobs couldn't get going, which the Bears have had a bit of a stronger run defense, but it was almost like they knew the game plan was going to be, hey, we're not going to be able to pass the ball well, so let's run the ball, and they seemingly planned for it. I saw a lot of Jaquan Brisker in the box, which was kind of fun to see, but I put there too far behind to win. It was 21-3 at one point, and Bagent just kept dinking and dunking the ball down the field. Had a couple nice rollouts where he made some nice throws on the run and nice reads, getting through his progression, stuff that we haven't seen. Rookie quarterback, or not rookie. We've seen from the rookie quarterback, haven't seen from Justin Fields, third year, first round quarterback. So very big upside game for Bagent. We're going to at least get to see him another week. I'm interested to see how he's going to be going up against the Chargers, who, although have not had a very strong defense, have had a pretty good offense. And I don't know if we'll have to see how the Bears can attack it. I think it could be a bit of a sleeper pick for the Bears. We'll have to see in this picks video, but we have the defense just kind of exposed the bad quarterback. I'd like to think that the Bears defense is playing a lot better, but you do have to keep in mind that they were playing against Hoyer and it didn't look. I would like to give the Bears defense credit, but it's difficult to, given the situation. Bears end up winning 30-12. We'll see what we have to see from Bagent moving forward. Offense looked different with him. So Lions-Ravens. I thought Lions were going to win this one in a barn burner. I thought we were going to see a lot of offense, defenses maybe making some plays, but still a lot of scoring. And there was a lot of scoring, but it was just for the birds over there, the Ravens. And the Lions couldn't really rush the passer. And I think that would have helped at least. But Lamar Jackson, the Lions haven't really ever been good against mobile quarterbacks, so I guess that would explain part of it. But Lamar Jackson was able to just sit back there and just throw the ball with leisure, didn't have to worry about it. Lions also couldn't produce on offense. The Ravens defense looked so strong, able to get in the backfield too. There was no run game from the Lions, and I'm sure David Montgomery's hurting that, but everybody was kind of hyped up about Jahmyr Gibbs, and I didn't see too much. I think they probably could have given it to him more, and I think there was some criticism actually from some people about, why didn't we give him the ball more? But they got down so much so early that you do kind of have to pass the ball down the field. I guess there's a chance they could have ran the ball more, and maybe that would have helped, but it was just too easy for Lamar out there. He has a flawless game, 155.8 passer rating, and I stopped watching the game because it just got out of hand. I think it was 31-0 or something like that, to where it was not worth watching. So Ravens absolutely dominate the Lions 38-6. Next we have the Steelers-Rams. Now this was an interesting game. It was very winnable. The Rams just made a lot of mistakes. You have Matt Stafford throws an interception to TJ Watt pretty early on. That was kind of fun to see. One of the best pass rushers in the league get an interception. But the Steelers took advantage of those mistakes. They ran the ball well. The Rams, they have the missed field goal. I think Brett Maher could get cut after this game with how... probably not. He's not going to get cut. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for kickers. That was horrible. The penalties were ridiculous. Just a lot of problems that you can't have. You can't have if you're going to win the game. And then I put in there, Pickett didn't get the first, because I'm sure if you watch this game, at the end of the game, there was a little QB sneak thing that happened, and it was like fourth and a little over a yard, and Kenny Pickett went down and was very clearly like a half yard short of the line to gain there, and they just called it a first down, and there was like 2 minutes and 6 seconds left, so the Rams weren't able to challenge it, or there wasn't a booth review because it wasn't under 2 minutes, and the Rams were out of timeout, so they couldn't challenge it. So kind of screwed over the Rams there, and that's why I put it was a very winnable game for them, because even if you just have one timeout, you challenge that and you get the ball back. Granted, it was another bad call by the refs and another game decided by the refs. The biggest upside here was really Matt Stafford, aside from the few mistakes, getting the ball to Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua absolutely went off. Sideline catches, toe taps. He had powerful runs after the catch. He was just doing it all. He was chirping with the other team, so that was cool to see. Tutu Atwell even had a nice reception in the end zone. So winnable game. Rams end up going down to the Steelers. Steelers being kind of underrated. They're 4-2 surprisingly. So Steelers have a good game, win the game 24-17. Moving on to the next one, we have Seahawks Cardinals. I'll make this one quick. Dobbs started slow. The play calls, I did not like the play calls. They did something different. Dobbs had a nice 25-yard touchdown scamper where middle of the field opened up, the Red Sea parted, and he just ran right through, 25-yard touchdown. But there was the missed field goal. Laces out Finkel was what Matt Prater was saying with the because the laces were in, and that was why that field goal was missed. We saw after, and he was pissed on the sideline, notably pissed. But the big play I'm talking about, there was a 3-yard pass on 4th and 7, and it didn't look like any of the routes went much farther than the 7, if even to the 7. So I don't know what that play call was all about. Dobbs ended up, or I don't know if it was Toon at the point. Whoever the quarterback was just checks it down, and game was over. So it didn't really make much sense to me. Seahawks played lockdown defense. Devin Witherspoon had a huge sack. There was Kenneth Walker on offense was just ground and pound the whole time, just dominating on offense. It wasn't like massive runs, but it was just such strong runs, like always falling forward for extra yards. What else happened in this game? There was the DJ Humphries gets ejected for a fight. He smacks a ref in the head, I believe, is what happened. And so Seahawks end up winning. Kind of a messy game for Geno Smith, though. There's I believe there was a fumbled snap, and then there was an interception, and a couple problems there that ended up making this game, in my opinion, too close for comfort, with the Cardinals not really playing that well. I feel like you should have won by more than 10. I guess you also factor in those mistakes that Geno made, so it makes sense. But the Seahawks end up beating the Cardinals 20-10. Next, we have the Chargers-Chiefs. I expected, if you watched my picks video, my prediction for the final score was Chiefs 24, Chargers 17, and that prediction was right through part of the second half and almost all of the, end of the first half, whole part of the second half, except towards the end. The Chiefs get one more touchdown to ruin my perfect prediction, but that's okay. Chargers went down early, had to play catch up the whole time, couldn't run the ball well. If you look at the stats, you see, I must need some water. You'll see Josh Kelly had a good day on the ground, but that was really just because he had one big touchdown run. So he had a huge touchdown run at the beginning, kind of made the stats a little exaggerated, but they did not run the ball well all game, especially Eckler, who's done well so far this season. A couple bad interceptions by Herbert, ultimately being the reason they lose the game. Mahomes and Kelsey have a historical first half. Kelsey getting 8 for 142 yards, and then Mahomes getting 321 yards for 3 touchdowns, all in the first. That's the first half. I mean, he's on pace for 640 and 6, which is unheard of. But the Chiefs never let go of the lead. They made a great defensive adjustment because obviously, you're in a one-score game at the end of the half, and the Chargers never scored. I don't even know if they got into... No, they didn't even get in the red zone. So just great plays by the Chiefs defense, who has been strong so far this year. And the Chiefs end up getting the W 31-17. Next we have Packers-Broncos. So we have, let's see here, 17-19. Couldn't do anything on... The Packers just... Their offense was atrocious. I believe the Broncos went up 16-0 fairly early on. But the defense in the second half for the Packers kind of kept them in there. They started to play well, shut them down. Broncos only get one more field goal, which ended up being a game-winning field goal. And that's where I they made a great comeback, but it just wasn't enough. All the running backs for the Broncos ran the ball really hard. You had a couple powerful runs by Javonte Williams. Jaleel McLaughlin, shoots through the hole very well. He's very quick, acceleration, so that's fun to see. And then Samaje Perine had a nice, powerful run too. So But the offense, a lot of it was very dink and dunk. There wasn't many shots deep, and that goes for both teams. It was very dink and dunk for the Packers and the Broncos, and that's why you resulted in such a close, lower scoring game. Broncos really fell off in the second half and didn't really do much of anything until they get that game-winning field goal. You have the crazy pinball catch, which was the touchdown by the Packers. Jordan Love throws it to Romeo Doubs. It bounces off of his hands and then right into Jaden Reed's hands. So that was kind of fun. But ultimately, the Broncos end up winning 19-17, taking down the Green Bay Packers. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins and the Eagles. This game was frustrating. I'll just skip right to the end of the takeaways there. The refs ruined the game for me because you have so many penalties throughout the game where the Eagles should have been called or got away with no calls, and it was just all over the place. Dolphins had 10 penalties. Eagles had 0. The Dolphins went down early, and they did have to fight from behind. I also put in there that they still would have lost. I think it was a 2-score game, it's hard to make a huge argument that they would have, the Dolphins would have won. But it's also tough to tell because the bad penalties and the calling the game was all game. It was the whole game. There was penalties. So there's a lot of different situations where stuff could have changed. But both teams made big mistakes. The Dolphins made mistakes too. The Eagles got good pressure on Tua, and so obviously Dolphins still end up winning it. But the ref, Dwayne Height, he lives in just north of Philly, 60 miles from the stadium. And he has been suspended before. That's the head ref for the game. And he's been suspended before for calling games poorly in favor of a team. So kind of sketchy there. You also see Nick Sirianni very clearly mouthing thank you to the ref, the head ref. So it's like, I'm sure refs or coaches thank refs all the time. So I don't think you take much from that. But something you have to factor into. It just kind of sucks. I put for the Eagles, they had a top-tier tush push. I believe 4 for 4, I think, on tush pushes this game. I might have even missed one. But they did make the mistakes, too. You had the pick 6 and a couple other mistakes. Fumble by Hurts. So a lot that could have happened there. A.J. Brown went off. He had some nasty catches, toe tap. But, again, there were some penalties that could have been called. I don't want to take that away from A.J. Brown, though, because he did play really well. It just took away from the game for me. Would have liked to see a closer game, especially when it's ruined by the refs. If it would have been a blowout by the Eagles, would have been a different story. But yeah, you don't love to see it, especially in one of the most hyped up games of the week. Aside from this one, which was ultimately one of the most exciting games of the week, when the Vikings take down the Niners, 22-17. So. The 49ers did go down early. There was, Kirk Cousins throws an interception very early on. 49ers get great field position. McCaffrey's running towards the end zone, gets wrapped up, and then who comes in? Hitman Harrison Smith just punches the ball out, and Vikings get the ball back, drive down, they score. There was Jordan Addison went off today. CMC had a nice rushing touchdown a little bit later on, but the Vikings took the lead and really never gave it back. And the 49ers, they lost the turnover battle, which is unlike them. Typically, that's the reason the Vikings lose, but you had 2 interceptions late, and that's why I couldn't clutch up. You had Brock Purdy throws it to Cam Bynum twice. Just trying to win the game. He's not used to that. Not used to playing from behind. Not used to having to win a game. I don't think it means he's a bad quarterback. We really haven't even seen that opportunity yet. So I think you can't be out on Brock Purdy after it. But the Vikings exposed the Niners defense because typically the Niners have had a great defense, but they weren't getting any pressure. The Vikings run game was surprisingly good for how bad it's been so far. And they just made big plays when they needed to. The biggest play being right before half. And I think kind of what set the tone for the second half and might be the reason the Vikings won was you have Kirk Cousins well underthrow a ball to Jordan Addison. Charvarius Ward is there and picks it off because you see Jordan Addison slow down. Charvarius Ward cuts him off or, kind of sees that he slows down and catches up to him, catches it. Jordan Addison rips it away, spins out of the tackle, and just takes it for a touchdown when we were thinking maybe the Vikings are going to get a field goal. End up making a huge play. Vikings played well all game, though. They ended up 8 for 13 on third down, which is unlike them as well. The only negative really was, the couple, like the interception at the beginning. Can't really be doing that, and was also part of the reason it was close, as well as some failed tush pushes by the old Kirk Cousins on the goal line. They missed out on a score there. So can't be doing that. Doesn't matter. Vikings win 22-17. And end up getting the dub. Moving on, we'll do the record in the other video. I should not have put that in this here. We got the Week 7 leaders. I'll let you read most of these off. Notable ones was Lamar Jackson's 155.8 passer rating. Kenneth Walker with his just, ground and pound, 26 carries, 105 yards. Amon-Ra gets the reception title 2 weeks in a row. Foyesade Oluokun had 15 tackles, although it appears that that's been typed in invisible ink. But it was 15. Kenny Moore, notable name on there. Don't expect a cornerback to have the most sacks and tackles for a loss with 1.5 sacks and 3 TFLs by a cornerback. So that's cool. Honorable mentions, obviously, Myles Garrett, and there was a couple other people with 2 and 2 or 2 and 1.5, but Kenny Moore got the total. So another big one you're probably never going to see again is the least offensive yards allowed was the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears allow 235 yards. So good for them. Nice work. Fun facts, we have the Steelers have been outgained so far this season through the 6 games they've played by 660 yards. Despite being 4-2, Patrick Mahomes has as many AFC Championship wins as 2 score losses, and Lamar Jackson has three games with 155 plus passer rating, close to perfect. 158.3 is perfect, but that is the same amount that Tom Brady has in his entire career. So big throwing stat for the running back they call Lamar Jackson. Here's the I'm Jerry Player of the Week. New little thing that I'm doing here. Had to put this in here. Pardon me. I'm Jerry Player of the Week. Myles Garrett. He just went off. 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 blocked field goal. Supposed to be goal. Unfortunately, that got cut off. That's on me. I apologize about that. Blocked field goal, pass defended, tackle for a loss. He did it all. He was the reason they ended up winning the game, as much as I think they should have lost the game. But great game from Myles Garrett. Definitely gets the I'm Jerry Player of the Week. We're going to do one of these every week. I'm going to try to highlight whoever I thought was the most dominant. Would like to do it like how I'd like the MVP to be voted on. It's just who is actually the most valuable player to a team. Because you look at the competition and you'd love to see a name like Christian McCaffrey or Myles Garrett, but you don't, because to the Browns, I think Myles Garrett is probably more valuable to the Browns than some other quarterbacks are to their team. Like, for instance, Brock Purdy has been in the MVP conversation, but I would argue that on that team, Christian McCaffrey is the most valuable player. So I'm Jerry Player of the Week. Goes to Myles Garrett. Great job, Myles Garrett. Nice job. And thank you for watching. If you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.